like to explain the concept of constructor and its use. So let me create a new workspace for Eclipse to learn Java. Okay, the latest version of Eclipse is Mars. So Mars is the latest version. Eclipse every month of every year of June they release a newest version. They have planned for Neon, so we will get the Neon version. So LAN Java is the workspace newly created. Okay, yeah, the constructor. So I'd like to explain what is the constructor and what is its use. So before getting into the topic, before explaining the concept practically, let me explain. We need to keep in mind some points. The constructor is nothing but it's like a method. So almost it looks like the method only. So there is a first one. And the another thing is the constructor name is same as class name. We cannot give our own name as we give it to a method. So the name it must be same as a class name. So the third point here is the constructor will not return have any return type. So when we declare a method, we give a return type. For example, void or primitive data type or a object type we give. But when we declare a constructor, we should not use any return type. Only the class name should be there. So we should not have any return type. And the difference between the method and the constructor is right here. The last important point is the constructor will be invoked or called automatically when the object is instantiated. So these are all the points we should keep in mind when we learn the concept of constructor. So constructor is nothing but it is like a method. So its appearance almost looks like a method, so we call it as a super method or a method, and the name is same as class name, and it should not have any return type, void or primitive data type or object type. And the important one is the constructor will be called automatically when the object is created. So we need not call the constructor manually, but method what we do, we create the object first, then we call the method. Okay, let me explain the concept of constructor practically. So the workspace is created, and so this is Java E perspective. We need to change to Java perspective. It's very simple. In window menu open perspective, a Java, so that the Eclipse will give us the ID to develop a Java application. So previously it was Java enterprise application. Now it is set. Now let me create a project, Java project. So here, yeah. So Java project. I use the latest version, the current version, Java 8. The update 40 I am using it, but I think the latest update is 45. The next year we will have the Java 9 2016 they have planned, until Java 10 is planned. Okay, we core Java. Let me create a sub package. com.core Java. So let me create a class employee. Okay. Okay. So let us create two data member of employee. For example, employee contains a name as well as a city. So here I have written a code for an employee class which contains two data members, the name and city. The two string object it has, both are private. I have given a setter method and a getter method. Okay. So here the setter method is used to set a name to this instance variable, and set city is used to set the value to city, and get will return the name, and get city will return you the thing. So this program is an example for the encapsulation, as all the instance variable are declared as private, and I have given the public setter and getter method. So this is called as an example of encapsulation. And let me create another class in order to explain the constructor clearly. So let me create a class. example constructor. Public static void. Okay. So here this employee program doesn't have any constructor. So let us set a value. So the constructor uses to initialize the instance variable. But here let me create a object for employee. See, as I said, the constructor will be called automatically when the object is created. But here our program, the employee class doesn't have any constructor. We have not given any constructor. We have not declared any constructor explicitly. So what compiler does is, as we are creating an object, the Java calls the default constructor. So each and every Java program contains a default constructor. Even though we have not declared any constructor here, the Java compiler adds it, like employee, if it is public, if it is public employee, so it will be added like this. The compiler adds the employee constructor, default constructor. No parameter constructor is added by default, even though we have not yet given. So here the constructor is created.
Hello, Ansari.
Yes.
Yes. Sorry, my voice was not audible to you, and meanwhile, I think so. My network glitches were there.
So.
Okay, now can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, fine. Yeah, you can proceed with Ansari, because I was not able to see your screen. That's why.
Okay, my voice is clear, right?
Yeah, your voice is clear. No issues on that. Yeah, you can proceed with it. I'm just muting myself again.
Okay. So.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So let us see how to initialize the value, the name and city in this program. So what we do here is, we have to use this name. For example, e.name is equal to, we can set John, and e.city is equal to New York. So likewise we can give. But the thing is, as we have declared both the object as private, these particular objects are not visible outside the class. So the only way is to initialize the value is using the setter method in this program. So what I do here is, using the setter method, for example, e.set name. So here I am giving a name as John, and e.set city as New York. So let me display the object now. So here let me write a toString method. Let me override the toString method. So here city. So when we print the object, the toString method will be invoked automatically. So here, after creating the constructor, I'm just printing the object. Now after setting it, I'm printing the same object. E. Now let us see the difference, how this program works. Let me execute this file, Learner Java application. See, first it has displayed name is equal to null and city is equal to null. The toString method is called. So name is equal to, we are printing the name. So here I have just created the employee object and I have printed the object. So this method is invoked automatically as we are printing the object. Now name. So as we have not yet initialized anything, by default all the object will be set to null. For example, if it is an integer, it will be set to 0. Float means 0.0f and double 0.0d. So a string is your object, so it is set to null. So it is null now. After initializing the variable instance object, using a setter method, John and New York. Now it displays the same method is called again John and New York. The same object. First it was initialized with a null default value. Again it is initialized with the user our given value setter John and New York. So let us take, so for example, in this particular employee has only name and city. So what we have done here is we have just called the setter method to initialize, as the both the name and city objects are not available in this class as they are private. So we have used a setter method to initialize it. So it has only two instance variables, so we have set it. Let's
Yeah.
take the scenario. If we have 5 instance variable or 10 instance variable, for example, the employee has a name, father's name, PAN card number, age, date of birth, address, city, pin code, mobile number, email ID, then we cannot give setter, we cannot set the each and every value by calling the setter method. So it will not be, our program will look ugly if we use the setter method. So what to do? In the single line we can initialize all the variables. So what we can do is, for example, here the default constructor, let me explain the concept of default constructor. So here name is equal to,
So I have one query here, Ansari. Am I audible, Ansari?
yes, you are.
Yeah. So suppose I am not providing the default constructor. Okay, I'm trying to call the parameterized constructor through an object reference.
Yeah.
So will it work?
No, it will give you compilation error. You have to declare the default way, default constructor like this.
Okay, fine.
Let me,
So one more thing is like objects are generally called serializable, right? So can you give an example of the same? I'm just looking for a hands-on example, maybe on a serializable.
sorry, I didn't hear you.
Objects are called like serializable, right?
Objects are serializable.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I am just looking for an
8%
example where you can see that, show that like how the objects are serializable.
How the objects are serializable? We have to use a marker interface serializable. We have to implement the serializable so that the object can be written to the file using the object output stream. Object output stream has the write object method, so we can call the write object method to write the object into a file, so that we can send a file to one system to another system to communicate. So to write the state and behavior of the object in a file, we have to serialize the class. So it is simple. We can just implement serializable. Import serial from IO package. That's it. So now this employee class is serialized. The object is serialized. What we can do is we can use a object output stream to write the object into a file. So what will be written, the what we have given in toString method, it will be written in a file. So shall I proceed with construction?
Yeah, sure, you can.
Yeah. Now I'm using the default constructor here as name is equal to name is equal to name and city is I have given James Gosling and Washington. Now let us execute. Okay. Okay. So let us execute the same program. So I have, so whether this default constructor is called or not. Let us check. So if it is called, what will happen? The name will be James Gosling and Washington. Okay, so by default it is set. So the compiler default value null is not yet set because the object creation all instance variable has been initialized. Likewise, if you want to initialize with our own name, we can create a parameter constructor. So constructor overloading, which is also an example of polymorphism. So here employee string name, string here start name is equal to name, start city equal to city. So here, what we can do, instead of calling the setter method, we can create one object, employee E1 equals new employee. So here we can pass it. For example, let me type mine.
Okay. So how exactly the garbage collection is being handled when we are creating multiple objects there, Ansari?
Multiple.
Here we are creating like multiple objects, right? E you have created and
Garbage
even you have.
The JVM is like
So is it like any way like how we can like
we can
we
make
can
calling the finalize method.
mm-hmm,
So
fine.
here in E1, I'm calling it
Mm-hmm.
E1. So now the instance variable will be set to name will be set to Ansari and city will be set to Chennai. So let me execute it.
Yeah.
Yes, it is set. So that we need not give setter, we need not use setter method to initialize the value one by one. But the point here is we
Okay.
will have a confusion. Then what is the point we have declared setter method here? For example, then what is the point we have
Exactly.
all the
Yeah.
value in constructor itself. For example, if it has a 5 or 6 instance variable, we can pass the value in
Mm-hmm.
the constructor itself. Then what is the point? For example, unfortunately, there is a situation. Unfortunately, I have entered a wrong name. For example, instead of Peter, I have given Ansari. So what to do? So for example, if we create another object, a new object will be created. For example, for every new operator, a new object will be allocated, a new space will be allocated in a memory, new bean will be created. So to modify the existing object, we need the help of the setter method. We cannot modify the object directly through the object here because all are declared as private. So we need a help of public setter method. So particularly if I want to change the existing object, for example, E1 that for example, if I want to change the city or name, I have to change the set city or set name. So that is the reason we need to use a setter method. So here I'm giving like feature. Okay, now let me display the same object E1. Now the modified object will be created. So for every setter method, a new object will not be created. The existing object will be modified. For every time we invoke the constructor, what happens here is JVM creates a new Java bean. So that is what the difference between using the setter method and the constructor is. So here the existing object is modified. Previously I called the parameter constructor with the value of Ansari and Chennai and I printed it. It prints Ansari and Chennai. Now I have changed the same object and setting the name Peter. So as it is a string, a new object will be created only for the string because the string object is immutable. So here E1 is called. So this is what the exact use of constructor. So this program is an example for object-oriented programming concept like class, an object, encapsulation, polymorphism, constructor overloading we can take.